Hey, welcome back to Dad Space, episode 102. Hey, glad to have you here. Today, going to look at a topic, as you can tell by the title of the episode. We're in an epidemic of loneliness for men, and I got some interesting and sobering facts to share with you, some stats, and everyone loves a good stat. We're going to share some numbers with you around male loneliness for dads and men here on Dad Space, and open the can of loneliness and expose it for what it is and give you some resources to combat your overwhelming sense of being alone in this world as a man. Here on Dad Space, a great conversation, and I'm glad you're here. Thanks for joining. Here we go. I think in the busyness of life, we surround ourselves with things, relationships, money, possessions, a house, a yard, toys. And at the end of the day, when everything gets quiet and there's no one around, maybe your partner takes the kids out to have fun doing something and you're home by yourself, there's this creeping feeling of loneliness that seems to pop up for dads. Now, you're like, well, how do you know? Well, it's because I'm experiencing it myself. I'm an empty nest dad. I have 2 dogs, a cat and a turtle. My wife is at work, and I'm here with you recording this podcast completely alone. And as I look at my circle of friends that, as I'm in my 54th year on the planet, I've seen my circle of friends shrink from the amazing guys that stood with me at my wedding to where I'm at now. I look at that picture of my bridal party and I look at all the guys, and I handpicked those guys because they're very special to me. And now I think I know the location of maybe 1 or 2 of them, where I could probably reach out to them through an email, or pretty sure I don't have their phone number anymore because we've moved so many times and they've relocated, and I'm pretty sure I can reach them through Facebook or email. That's about it. And some of the guys I have no way of contacting. I don't even know where they are anymore. And those were my top friends in that day to celebrate my wedding that I hand selected to stand with me. And I look at that number and go, wow, we've drifted. And in that drift, we lose connection with our friends. So I'm using today's episode. I'm going to have links to all these articles and things for you to read and resources. The idea of Dad Space in its inception was to be a place for dads to talk to dads, share our dad stories, connect with other men, realize we're not alone in this world. So I do have guests come on, and if you know a dad that would love to share their dad's story, I'd love to have them right here on the podcast. You can find me at dadspace.ca. Let me know. I'd love, if it's you or someone you know, reach out to me through Dad Space and let's connect, because I'd love to have another dad story here on the podcast. But today you just get me alone here on the podcast with you. And I want to go through some things that I've been doing some research on around dads. So according to search results that I did in preparation for this episode, male loneliness has become a significant public health issue here in 2024. And according to the studies, which I'll cite and put in the show notes, there's a growing number of men that are struggling with feelings of loneliness and isolation. According to research, this is all U.S.-based. I'm in Canada, so we have to adjust the numbers a little bit. But based on research, 27% of men say they have less than 6 close friends, which is half of the number compared to 3 decades ago. Okay, so let's pause here. Name for me your 6 friends, your closest 6 friends. You could call them at 2 o'clock in the morning. They'd get their butt out of bed, get dressed, and meet you to help you get your car out of the ditch or fix a tire. Or they're the people who would drop everything on a weekend to come help you move. Whatever. 6 people, 6 guys right now that you can name off for me. Bob, Steve, George, Ralph, Edward, and Samuel. Can you do it? I just made up those names. Can you name off 6 right now? They would answer your phone on the first ring. 20% of men say they have less than 6 close friends. I'm not talking about internet friends, Instagram friends, coworkers that you work with. Those are people that are adjacent to you. They're not really in your world. You know them, they know you, but they don't really know you, and you really don't know them. Less than 6 close friends. Alarmingly, 15% of men reported having no close friends at all. Only 10% of women claim to not have any friends, close friends. 15% of men reported to have no close friends at all. If you're struggling to name off 6, if you're struggling to name off 5, 4, 3, 2, even 1 close friend, it's an epidemic. It's something it's everywhere. And in that, you need to understand that you're not alone in feeling alone. And as a dad with grown children, again, out of the house, empty nest, I don't know the last time that I've had a social interaction with another guy outside of family and friend functions, work functions, my neighborhood. Like, I really hardly even know my neighbor who lives 20 feet from my house. We have the passing greeting, meh. But do I really know them? No. Have I ever been inside their house? No. Have they been in mine? No. And we're 20, 30 feet away from each other doing life every day. Interesting. According to the Surgeon General, they have a report out that found that loneliness and social isolation are associated with a greater risk of cardiovascular disease, dementia, stroke, depression, anxiety, and premature death, with the risk being equivalent to smoking 15 cigarettes a day. Your loneliness is having a health impact on you equivalent to 15 cigarettes a day. Now, we're quick to say, guys, stop smoking and extend your life, but we're very slow to say, guys, get some friendships, get some people in your life to do life with. It's an epidemic, and it can shorten your life. It's not healthy to be alone. Even in a relationship with your partner and your children and your family and your business and your job and your community, there's an overwhelming sense of loneliness for guys. I caught a clip from a news story around this, and I'll have links again, always in the show notes. But they did a little piece about male loneliness and how these guys are overcoming it. I wanted to play it for you because it really caught my attention and sparked the idea to do this episode. And I know there's someone listening to this that's struggling in this area, and this episode is just for you. So here's the clip that I heard, and I wanted to share with you. I'll be back to talk a little bit more about our topic here. But here's the episode, the clip that I heard from the news.
American men are stuck in what's been dubbed a friendship recession, with 20% of single men now saying they don't have any close friends. And more than half of all men report feeling unsatisfied with the size of their friend groups. I recently traveled to Phoenix to take a closer look at the implications of male loneliness and how some men are confronting it.
A great way to start off 2024, just another meetup.
On a recent night in Phoenix, a group of men gathered on a rooftop bar to talk about their goals for the new year.
I'm training for a half marathon, my first one ever.
Spend more time with family. I have my grandparents, like my grandfather, and he'll be 91 this year.
Wow.
Make moments like this where I can sit and talk and look for mentorship and even offer it.
This friends group was started by 38-year-old Quincy Winston. After leaving the military in 2015, Winston moved to Arizona with his wife LaToya and started working as an IT specialist. But for years, he says he struggled to make friends here. Were you feeling lonely and disconnected?
Definitely, especially when it came to having male friends. I didn't have any, and that lack of connection put me in a place where I didn't know exactly what to do about it.
So, in March of 2022, Winston turned to the social media platform Meetup and decided to invite other men to a local restaurant.
I think we went to a restaurant called Papado's, and I didn't know who would show up or if anybody would show up.
Sounds nerve-wracking.
And it was awkward, but once the guys came in and hearing some of their explanations and what they were looking for, I found out we had a lot more in common than I thought.
7 men showed up for that first event,
Are you guys warm?
which Winston says only happened because of his wife. You encouraged him to form this group.
Yeah, I wanted him to have a social life, like outside of just us doing things together all the time, which was great, but I still felt like he needed to have guy time and guy friends.
Yeah, she made it very evident that I need to go make some friends.
Go disappear for a little bit.
Go disappear. Now you have some friends. Yes, come back, but, go. Yeah, chicken needs a little bit more time. I'm just grabbing the hot dogs right now.
The men still meet up about once a week for activities like this backyard barbecue. Winston's meetup group now has nearly 130 members. It speaks to the need for connection that your group is that big. I mean, is that how you see it?
Yeah, it does. And, with all the technology that we have to keep us more connected to where we can communicate instantly with anyone, anywhere. But if you notice, we don't talk as much. We text more. A lot gets lost in translation because we just don't have that physical connection.
I'm the newest member of the group, but I'm also one of the oldest members of the group.
Connection is what 61-year-old Robert Montgomery was looking for. What motivated you to join this group?
My whole thing was I said I needed friends. Because I didn't have any. I got tired of being, basically isolated at home all the time. And I spent my birthday at home by myself. And I didn't like that. I was like, okay, no, I can't do this anymore.
Montgomery is certainly not alone. Only 21% of men in the U.S. say they get emotional support from friends every week. That's compared to 41% of women.
Sometimes as men, we struggle to say, I need you.
Richard Reeves is the author of Boys and Men, Why the Modern Male is Struggling, Why It Matters, and What to Do About It. What is driving male loneliness? Why do men have such a hard time forming friendships and keeping them as they progress through life?
You can't neglect a friendship and expect it to just grow. You have to work at it. You have to find the time. And my observation is that many women are just better at doing that and building it into their lives. So it's lack of purpose.
Reeves also says over the last 4 decades, there's been a steady deterioration of male friendships.
For men under the age of 30, 15% say they don't have a close friend. And that's up from 3% in 1990. So we have a really difficult challenge now of helping men to find places, spaces and ways to be with other men and to sustain those male friendships.
Last year, the U.S. Surgeon General issued an advisory outlining the devastating health effects of loneliness and isolation, including increased risks for heart disease, strokes, and dementia. And while men make up slightly less than 50% of the U.S. population, they now account for nearly 80% of all suicides.
I think these statistics on young male isolation and relatedly of suicide rates is part and parcel of this displacement that we see of time away from friendship.
What should we be doing to reverse these trends?
We do need to be intentional about male friendship. We need to be intentional about combating against male loneliness, and that we have to create spaces that they're not going to create themselves.
That's at the heart of Men's Sheds, a non-profit that began in Australia in the 1990s and now has 27 locations across the country.
So then I have to drive through here then?
Yeah.
The goal here, to reach older men, who now have the highest rate of suicides in the U.S.
I had no idea other men like myself, when they retire from work, they lose their work friends, and then most men struggle to get a circle of new friends.
74-year-old Phil Johnson has helped start several men's sheds around Minneapolis. A couple of times a month, these mostly retired men come together to both work on projects and to simply sit around and chat.
Men feel more open about talking to guys like themselves about health concerns they may have.
A couple of years ago.
Yeah. So the research shows over and over again that men do best when they're doing something and they can do it together.
It's a chance for men to share a laugh, but also seek advice.
We tackle some tough problems like suicide, which is higher in retired men. We've had 3 men that I know of that have lost their spouses, and there's always going to be somebody else in the group can say, hey, here's how I did it, here's some ideas, here's something you should try to do.
And no, you're not alone.
Yeah.
You have brothers, you have a pack, you have a tribe, you have a family away from home.
Back in Arizona, I was invited on a morning hike with Quincy Winston's friend group, an outing organized by 29-year-old Nick Crum, who says joining the group has exceeded his expectations.
It's just grown so much, and we've been able to meet so many quality people, so many people who actually want to be vulnerable, talk about the things that we like to talk about, talk about our life, build that genuine connection with one another.
That's exactly what Winston says he hoped for when he created the group.
We need each other, and we need to support, uplift, encourage, and motivate other men to, seek friendship.
Quincy Winston now wants to expand his friend group beyond the Phoenix area, so meetups like this one can become more common for men across the country.
Figure out what we can do to bring people together.
For the PBS NewsHour, I'm Jeff Bennett in Phoenix.
So a friendship recession. Well, does that ever sting? And to hear one gentleman say, he's home on his birthday alone. And then for us older dads, as we go through life and we lose our spouse, then what? We have no circle of friends. We have our partner, and then we lose our partner. Then what? Our kids are too busy and grown up and doing their things. Who's there for us? And I just think that as dads, we need to build those friendships. And I think it's harder for us. The older we are, the more set we are in our ways, the more that we have lived this life and walked these paths, that we tend to not value friendships the way we did when we were younger. And I think we need to address this just like we would address smoking and the effects that it has on our life. Men often have a harder time expressing our feelings and reaching out for help when dealing with loneliness. And many turn to online communities or public figures like podcasters to find a sense of connection. If this podcast alone and listening to this podcast is a form of connection for you, then I'm committed to keep going with this, because if this is reaching you in your space where you are right now and giving you some hope, then that's what this podcast was designed to be. Even with all these resources that are at our fingertips, and as there was mentioned in that clip, that we are so connected through technology, but we're so disconnected in our conversation and in our real, true friendships, that technology is not really the answer in this situation. And I love that these guys get together through their meetup and doing a in-person meetup. I love that idea. It's great. When we can do face-to-face interactions, though, I think that's got a different element to it than doing it virtually. These face-to-face interactions and activities with other men, I would say, are more essential to building meaningful friendships than simply just doing it online. So to combat this growing male loneliness epidemic, through my research, and I have links to all these resources, some suggestions for you to think about to get you out of your loneliness funk as a dad, as a man. Try reaching out to family members like parents or siblings to spend quality time together. Brothers, people in your family, uncles, your brother-in-law, somebody like that. Reach out. There's your local community, your family. Use that first. Try joining some sort of local club. What's your interest? What are you good at? What's your hobbies? Are you a woodworker? Are you into podcasting? Are you an author? Find something that fits with who you are. A mechanic. There's something that you do. There's something that you are. You love to talk about. Where there's other people who would love to meet you and talk about the same things. Look for something around your favorite sports team, whatever that is. A hobby group. Meet with some new people and form some connections. Try being vulnerable and open with close friends rather than just discussing surface level topics. And seek professional help. From a therapist or a counselor if feelings of loneliness become overwhelming. Even your best friend doesn't have the answers that a therapist would have for you. So keep that in mind, that there are people in your life that would love to help you, but maybe they don't have the skills, talents, abilities to help you in the right way. So I'll have some links for you to follow up there as well. Ultimately, addressing male loneliness will require many different approaches together, working together to fix your loneliness problem. And I call it a problem because it is. If it's taking time off your life to the equivalent of smoking 15 cigarettes a day, it's a problem. I think you'd understand 15 cigarettes a day is a problem. Then loneliness is a problem. We need to have more discussions around mental health to encourage more resources for men. By prioritizing social connection, men can take proactive steps to improve their overall health and well-being. There are people out there are other guys who feel exactly the same way you do, are looking for the same resources that you're looking for. So to the clip that we heard, they leveraged Meetup at meetup.com. It's free to sign up on Meetup and meet up with other groups of people. If all you can do right now is virtually meet with another group of men, then do that. Search for the Meetup group in your area, whether it's in person or online. And be a part of that. Make time for that. You make time for other things that don't bring you as much value as this can. So say no to something and say yes to making the effort to reach out to other men in your community, around you, and combat the loneliness that you're feeling right now. Because at the end of the day, we need you. Your family, your friends, whether they're vocal about it or not, they need you. Your community needs you. Everyone around you is better with you here and with you part of the conversation, with you at the table. Feet under the table, clinking dishes and glasses and laughter, and we need you at the table. Those birthday celebrations and anniversaries and celebrations, we need you. Those times when No one else will answer the phone, but you would. We need you. So I know you're feeling lonely today, and I know you're feeling maybe like there's no one else around, and nobody really understands how you feel. There are other guys that are in the exact same spot that you are. And all it takes is a moment to make that connection happen. And I want you to try something. And I'm challenging myself with this right now because as an introvert, this is going to be a very steep hill to climb. I got to tell you. But I'm challenging you to create one new friendship. One new connection that somebody you've never met before. You don't know them and they don't know you. But you reach out to someone in some form or fashion and make one connection. And in that connection, you have the opportunity to find somebody new and add them to your group of friends. I would love it if it's in person. I would love it if they're in your community and you can rub shoulders with them and pass them on the street or see them in person. I would love that for you. If you don't have that right now, then don't stop at this part and give up. Do it online. And if it's me, I would love it if it's me. I really. At the same time that I'm asking you to do this, I'm asking to find that person myself. So in that moment, in this moment, if you're looking for someone to connect with, I'm not just a podcaster, I'm a dad. I'm a guy. I have my group of friends is shrinking. I'm looking for a connection with you. And I'd love to chat. Wherever you are, I would love to chat. dadspace.ca is my website. I have this podcast. I'm creating it because I want to connect with dads. And I don't want one dad listening to this show to feel lonely, separate, desperate, misunderstood, and scared. And if this podcast has any impact on you, I know that this conversation will have an impact on some other dad, another guy who is also struggling in this area. And I have one simple request from you is to share this episode with them. If they don't know what a podcast is, ask them for their phone. Just give me your phone for a second. Go on to whatever app they have and click Dad Space, click episode 102 and say, hey, here, listen to this, and press play and hand them back their phone. Make sure you hit that follow and subscribe button at the same time and then say, this is what a podcast is. And this is why it matters. And you matter to me, so I want you to hear this message. And press play, hand them back the phone. And then sit with them. Let them hear this episode. And at the end of the episode, right now, at this point, they're going to look up at you and go, thanks. This is great. How did you know that I'm feeling this way? And then when this episode's over, hit stop. And then have a conversation on how the two of you, can help each other. Whether it's over the internet or in person. I want you to use this episode as a bridge to somebody else. And say, you're lonely, I'm lonely. Let's do something about this. I would love for you to share this episode with them and encourage them and yourself to start adding to your friend group instead of lamenting at the fact that your friends are now no longer as close as they once were. Well, look at that wedding picture from 30 years ago. Go, where are these guys? Whatever happened to my friend in college or high school or whatever? Whatever happened to ... And start making a change. Again, if you're looking for somebody to chat with, I'm not a therapist. I'm not a licensed counselor. I can only talk to you so far. You need to talk to an expert if you really need that help. But if you just want to chat with somebody, dad to dad, guy to guy, dadspace.ca. I'd love to hear from you. Challenge accepted? What do you think? Add one new friend in the next few weeks? Let me know how it goes. Dadspace.ca. You're not alone. In all this big world, as connected as we are, you are not alone. Please look at the resources in the show notes, all the links. And again, if I can be of any help, dadspace.ca. Thanks for listening. Catch you on the next episode. Hey, thanks for listening to Dad Space today. I'm so thankful that you were here for this episode. If you like the show, please let another dad know. Hey, that kind of rhymed. Anyways, share the episode out with somebody in your circle who would love Dad Space. That means so much to us here, for our guests who donate their time to be on the show, and we just want to see this grow. So, again, another rhyme. Oh, wow. Anyhow, I think I need to write a song or something. Thank you for being here with Dad Space, and again, looking forward to the next episode. Look forward to having you here again with us. And if we can help you in any way, if you have a great guest idea for the show, a topic that you would love us to cover, we would love to do that here on Dad Space. So thanks for listening, and thanks for being part of the community. And to you, Dad, thank you for listening, and thank you for sharing Dad Space. Catch you on the next one. Take care.